listeners, and welcome back to the Digestible Podcast. I'm Stacy,
And I'm Melissa.
and here at the Digestible Podcast, we bring you all the health and wellness information you need in an amount of time that your busy day can handle, and we make it easily digestible. Get it? Today, we are bringing you episode 2 of kind of a 3-part series where we are incorporating how nature can impact our health. Because the weather is nice and everyone's spending more time outside, these 3 episodes really seem to work nicely together.
They
Right,
do.
Migs? Yeah.
Yeah.
So last week, we interviewed Gail Bick, who is a certified forest bathing guide. And this week, we have another certified forest bathing guide. We have Clay Hartman, who brings a different perspective to the whole forest bathing thing as well, which is why we thought it'd be really fun to have him on. So Clay is a retired U.S. Navy commander, where he was an advanced strike instructor. Then he was a renewable energy executive, and now he is a personal trainer, health coach, and certified forest bathing guide. So please enjoy our conversation with Clay Hartman. Hi, Clay. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you so much for being here. We are so excited to have you talk to us about forest bathing and grounding and all things nature related. Before we dig in, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you became interested in nature-based wellness like forest bathing and grounding, and tell us a little bit about how you got here.
I've always been like, it to myself is like outside is my church, right? So I go outside to just sort of be, and people are like, "Oh, you should go to church." I go, "I do. I go to the Church of Nature, and it works out just great." A few years back, I was struggling with a lot of disabilities from my service with the military. Whenever you take off and land from an aircraft carrier, it's the equivalent of a mini car crash. And I've got over 600 mini car crashes to my name, 7 surgeries, all kinds of other things going on, throwing a little brain problems, and the next thing you know, I got a handful of stuff I'm trying to deal with. So um, I decided to like really just immerse outside, and it works. It helped with pain management, it helped with my migraine, it just helped with that, the tensions and everything. And so the next natural step for me was to get a little more formally educated on the concept of forest bathing. And what I had been doing mostly is immersion, which is similar. So I went ahead and said, you know what? Let's talk to the Swedes. The Swedes know what they're doing in the dang trees. So I went off and got, a forest bathing certificate to go along with my health and wellness coaching as part of what I try to impart onto my clients as they try to get themselves back together.
That's
Wow.
great.
Okay, so you talked about the difference between immersion and forest bathing. What is forest bathing exactly?
Well, what it's not is grabbing a rubber duck and a beach towel and heading into the forest. So that's what it's not. Okay. So you can tell all of your listeners that it's not that kind of thing. So forest bathing is really more of an immersive type of positioning when you go into the forest, right? You're not hiking, you're not going somewhere, you're just walking slowly, you're opening all your senses, you stop, you smell, you look, and you just start taking in the environment with what I would call a soft gaze. You're not trying to focus on anything, you're just trying to like observe. And I also tell everybody that you need to look up and you need to look down because there's 2 totally different worlds that you're not engaging in if you look straight ahead. So it's really more of a just slow down, disconnect with the technologies, especially, and reconnect with nature.
So it's different than a casual walk in the woods. You're present, you're mindful, you're looking
Yes,
everywhere, taking
yes.
everything in for the purposes of just experiencing that space.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're
Okay.
casually walking through the woods, you're kind of like, oh, 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 you maybe listen to your podcast. So, one of those wonderful things. Whereas if you're going to go do a forest bathing, you leave the phone at home, right? You disconnect And you open your ears, you open your eyes, you open your nose, you open your other senses, and just slow it down. Slow it down. Stop where it makes sense. You're going to feel different energies in the forest. And there's certain areas that you're just like, wow, there's a lot of energy here, and you just stop and take it in.
So, can you share a little bit about what someone might experience during the forest bathing session, like mentally, physically, emotionally? What should we expect?
Yeah, so going into the forest is different for everybody. I mean, some folks have a little bit of fear because we're not exactly top of the food chain all the time. So there's in the back of their head, right?
That's me a little bit. I love being outside, but I'm always a little wary.
Yeah, well, you're really not, but at the same time, most critters don't care about you as much as you don't care about them. So that fear is there for folks. But once they slow down and start to actually engage with their surroundings, they usually get a sense of, right, sort of a relief. Actually, some folks have said they feel grief or a release because they have so much kept inside that when you get outside and you let it go, those emotions kind of can take over. Physically, you're going to feel more energized. You're actually getting fresh air as well as the terpenes from the trees. You have different smells and everything else. And so you get the benefits of fresh air, you get the benefits of sunshine, you get vitamin D, you get some, your chronological clock gets reset, your circadian rhythms get more in touch. You get out of that fake light, and you get into real light, and your body starts going, wow, this is where I came from, right? We
Hmm.
haven't been modern citizens for but a microsecond in the lifetime of humans. So it's a
Does it have
reconnection.
to be the woods? Does it have to be the woods,
No,
or could it
no,
be
absolutely not.
anywhere?
Find a
Okay.
green spot. I mean, if you live in the desert, go into the desert, take water. Um, but you don't have to be in a forest to reconnect with nature. The forest has some very specific things that it does for you because of the trees and the terpenes and the other different things that are going on chemically in the forest. But the connection with nature can happen anywhere. If you're in a desert, if you're in, I grew up in the plains of Colorado, which is been called the Great American Desert for a reason. But I would go out and I would stock pintail ducks on a pond, right? So you're just out there immersed in nature. So wherever you can find it, it will find you, right?
You've mentioned a couple times the chemicals. Could you talk a little bit more about the science behind it?
Yeah, so there's like multiple studies and meta-analysis on the benefits of the forest itself, both physically, emotionally, psychologically. And physically, the fresh air helps with the respiratory system. The terpenes are supposed to actually activate your immune system and to elevate your killer cells. So there's a study going on about how these terpenes and phytochemicals could actually be helpful in the fight against cancer. That research is
Wow.
ongoing. The preliminary stuff is very positive. There's dozens and dozens of research behind this. The Japanese are leading the way. They've got a whole protocol around it. They actually prescribe it as part of the rehabilitation for folks, both for physical and mental recovery. So it's a real deal. I mean, um, we come from ancient people, and ancient people were outside, and that's where we come from. And that's what gets us healthier when we go back to it.
So, why do you think everyone, especially men over 50, need to hear this message now?
Well, men over 50, and I'm here to tell you, we've put it all into our life and we're running on fumes. We don't even know we're running on fumes. And if you don't break that cycle that you're used to, you're going to die prematurely. And so the message for men over 50, this goes for women too, it's not individualized to males, but you find yourself burned out, you find yourself running on fumes, and you're not taking any time to regenerate. And guess what? You're not 25 anymore there, a youngster boy. You're 55, 60, and the body doesn't do what it used to. So you've got to take additional steps to take care of yourself. And going into the forest, reconnecting with nature, it helps with your parasympathetic nervous system. It helps with your respiratory system. It helps with your circadian rhythms. It just allows you to slow down, disconnect, and not think about anything else but potentially yourself for a few minutes to an hour.
Let's talk a little bit about grounding because I think I've
Yeah,
I've been doing it wrong, I think, for a while. I always try to like when I have a few minutes, if the weather's decent, I'll go outside and just stand barefoot in the grass. But
That's what I do too.
tell us what
that's good.
grounding is, what does it have to offer, and what are the best ways to do it?
Sure. So grounding it's kind of like grab your duck, let's go into the forest, only different now you're flipping off your flip-flops and you're going barefoot, right? So there's actually the grounding concepts comes from the electrical interaction of your body with the earth, right? And that's a physical thing. It's been documented. When you put bare feet to wet ground, there is a realignment of electrons between your body and the earth. So the idea is to get your feet in the ground and let Mother Nature do its thing, right? On top of the electrical balancing, you have a ton of nerves and sensors in your feet that affect the rest of your body. So when you cool those sensors, you give them something else. You're not sticking them in a shoe covered in rubber, synthetics, whatever, and you allow them to, the little piggies to come out and play.
Mhm.
You're getting benefits from just being not in a shoe, and then you're putting them on grass and you're connecting to earth. And a lot of the folks that I talk to are like, I feel like a kid again, right? I'm out there running in the grass. I'm drinking water out of the hose. These are all Gen X's because that's what we did.
Yeah.
Um, but it's it's a sense of, I don't know, sort of a little bit of joy and relief. And grounding can take your mind off of stuff because you're actually feeling something different than you're used to.
So what's the best surface to ground on? It should not be concrete, right?
No, now they'll say concrete's okay. Actually, the best Mother Nature has to offer is beach water. If you're walking in the shallows on the beach, salt water in the sand, huge conductor of electricity. That's why you
What
never
about
want to
lake
be.
water? Is lake water okay?
Lake water's good too. It's got
Okay.
minerals in it. Careful about Lake Michigan, though. There might be some other crazy stuff in it.
That's what the
Uh,
lake we have. So
I know. That's why
that's
I
what we
brought it
got.
up.
Go to the ocean, Stacy. This is your
I,
excuse to take a trip.
I would like to go to the ocean.
Yeah, but
Yes.
Yeah.
wet sand. If you look at it from an engineering standpoint, anything that can conduct electricity really well is conceptually a great grounding tool, right? What doesn't ground is asphalt. What doesn't ground is wood. Anything that's insulating, like your shoes, do not ground because they're mostly made of a rubber.
Rubber.
So what do you put around an electrical wire to protect yourself?
Rubber.
Rubber, right? So I'm fortunate enough that I live on a granite outcrop, and I can stick my feet on that granite, especially when it's wet, and you can just feel the energy come off of that mountain. It is pretty crazy.
Wow.
Um, Moist earth is great. Moist grass is fine. If you have dry grass, you can get some insulation there. So, but it's better than anything else you're doing during the day. So keep up the grass, man. Don't give it up.
So if I had the option, like if it's not, my grass is not wet, can I water my grass with the hose and then stand on it? That's good enough?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Water conducts electricity,
Yeah.
sure. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's the
absolutely.
idea. I'd heard, I can't remember where, that, and free radicals are a thing. It's like our body
Hmm.
as this as source of a waste creates sort of free radicals. They're unpaired electrons in our body, and that they go kind of rampant and they can cause damage. And so antioxidants that we eat, like berries and things that have antioxidants in them, phytochemicals, help our body rid itself of the free radicals. I'd heard that there are unpaired electrons in the ground. And so when we ground with our feet, on the wet sand or the earth or the
Hmm.
granite, that that the all of the unpaired electrons find a pair, and that's part of the what chemically what happens. Is that how you understand it, or did I
It's
just?
it's physics more than chemistry, just to be,
Oh,
a little bit more
okay,
technical.
sure,
Um, Chemistry, your feet would burn because thered be a transfer of stuff. But with
okay,
physics and electron transfer, yeah, that's part of it. When you ground something, you're creating a path for electrons to go into some other area that they can pair with and mate with. So that sort of description of it is pretty close to what's going on.
okay. I tried as
No, no, it's
a
good.
non-physicist.
There's
Okay,
me neither. I'm a civil engineer. I know a lot about dirt, so
okay, okay.
How long do you have to ground for? Like, do you stand out there for a couple
10,
minutes?
10 minutes is, sufficient. The more the merrier. I don't know that I've actually read anything that specifies, you got to do it for 30 minutes, you're getting nothing out of it, anything like that. Um, you know, Based on our modern lifestyle, we have no connectivity with the earth hardly ever. So any little bit that you get is going to be useful. I would recommend 10 minutes. Um, what I do to start some days is I'll kick off my shoes at the front of their property and I'll just walk through the landscaping coming back. And we live in a temperate rainforest, so the grass is always wet. Um, and so it takes about 10 minutes and you feel really good, you know?
So you'd say you feel a difference, and some of it could be um, the joy, the connection,
Joy, connection, placebo,
could
perceived,
be.
it's supposed to be good. So I'm going to feel good because it's supposed to. It's a different feeling than what you're used to through the whole day.
Mm,
And it's a positive stimulation. So, unless you're completely disconnected from yourself, you're going to have some level of enjoyment from it. Either that or you just really don't like the tactile sense of wet grass on your feet. So,
Yeah.
sure.
So, what about people that maybe are like in the city and don't have access to a lot of green space? Like, I've seen ads for like the grounding mats and the grounding sheets. What are your thoughts on that?
as an engineer, I would be very suspect that there's enough mass to that to actually facilitate any meaningful transmission of electrons, mainly because if you're doing grounding with Mother Nature, you have a ginormous sink to take your feet into versus a little square like that or a little blankie or something. And it's full of rubber. It's full of, plastics. It's got stuff. I don't know that it gives you the same sort of natural connection by any stretch of the imagination. If you want to do something and you're locked up tight in a city and you can't get to anything green, get some bath salts, fill up your tub, stick your feet in. The electricity from your body will have a better chance of transferring to that salts and that water than it would be to a piece of plastic with some wires running
Oh,
through it.
that's interesting. So, like if I did an Epsom salt bath, for example, you get some of the grounding effects.
That's the theory.
So,
Okay.
I don't
what
do Epsom
Clay?
salt baths, so I can't really tell you, but
Okay.
but it's an
So,
Okay. That's
equivalent. So
fair.
think about it if you stick your feet in the ocean, it's full of salt, right? And
Mm-hmm.
salt and water are big transmitters of electricity. So stick your feet in and see how you feel.
all right. So maybe don't waste your money on a grounding mat or a grounding sheet. Stick your feet in an Epsom salt bath and get
Well,
outside.
Or do a little more research maybe and find out what.
yeah, if you're, find out. So, if it doesn't have a grounding plug on it that actually goes into the grounding hole of your electrical outlet, you're probably not going to get as much grounding out of it as if you put it in the two-way. That's a little more physics for you. Um, but so yeah, do some research. Some people say it works. I'm a skeptic, but I have outside, so it's easier for me to say, whatever.
Right.
So
Well, so
Right.
Clay, we read your background a little bit, and I know Stacey knows your background a lot. You were talking about this. You had a lot of ailments and illnesses. You were on pharmaceuticals, and you decided I can't live like this, and you made some changes to your
mm,
lifestyle.
just a few.
It
Just
sounds like a lot, but forest bathing and being outside and walking around barefoot was part of your journey to health. So there clearly are some benefits to these types of practices, whether you can point to a scientific study or not. But what led you to that if you didn't have those definitive
Well, I
answers?
think Stacy's heard this story before. The In 2019, I was going to bed with a handful of pills. One for the brain, one for the pain, one for the stomach, one for this, one for that, blah, 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 blah. Still in reasonable agony, 2 or 3 ice packs, just like miserable. I had 7 surgeries. The doctors wanted to give me 3 more. And I'm like, no, no, not it. I'm done.
Right.
Right. So there's got to be
Mm-hmm.
something different. So way back then, a whole 6 years ago, um, I started pulling together what I consider to be a functional medicine solution to my problems. And part of that was to deliberately go outside. Also, a big diagnosis with PTSD. Wasn't sure, I didn't even know, but after talking to therapists, they're like, yeah, you got some problems there, kid. And part of them, one of the guys, like, he's an Iraq war vet, and he goes, this is going to sound crazy, Clay, but go find a tree and hug it, all right? And I was like, okay, off we go. And, you know, so I touched
Did
one
you
tree
really
and it was
hug a
like,
tree?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I touched one
Amazing.
tree and it said stop. So I went to the other one and
You needed to get consent. You got
I
consent.
did. I was like,
That's
hey, is this
good.
going to be all right? Right.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
I
Okay.
did
So,
actually read something recently about hugging the tree and how you actually get a lot of benefit from
Well,
hugging the
it
tree.
has a root system that you literally tap into when you do this to it, right? You have all that energy. All the energy of the tree is going through the outside, is where all the transfer of the nutrients are, and everything goes to the ground. And you get you get that connectivity to Mother Earth. And a tree is, depending on who you listen to, is an inversion of the human. The brain of the tree is underground,
mm,
right? And it
hmm
interacts with a huge ecosystem down there and a
yeah,
lot of, back and forth and trades and bargaining going on with all the little critters down there too.
right.
So when you connect to that, you're pretty close to the brain. Um, so that's, you're tapping into the energy of the tree that way.
That's great. That sounds
It,
really nice.
it really does.
Yeah,
Um,
somebody's going to catch you in the woods and they're going to go, ooh, crazy man, crazy man.
Someone's hugging a tree. They're really hugging the tree. Well, I live in Ann Arbor, and I think there are a lot of people here that hug trees on the regular. It's my guess. So, yeah,
Yeah, probably.
we have lots of tree huggers here. We're very proud of
Well,
our
the Admiral, my wife, aka the wife, calls me a hugger with a haircut. So
hugger with a haircut. I like that. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
so, and do you have any other, like, I know you've been coaching people for a while. Do you have any client stories you can share that where they've done some grounding and some forest bathing and have noticed differences?
yeah. I've got one client in particular who just recently changed his mindset. So he's like, a big hiker, da 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 da. I was like, yeah, that's not quite the same. And so he was like, Clay, he goes, I did it. I go, uh-oh, are you going to jail? What's the deal? And he's like, I went in and I just slowed down and I stopped and I sat. and I watched and I listened and I smelt and I touched. And he goes, I saw fox, I saw raccoons, I saw deer, I saw birds, I saw all these animals in the running around in the grass. If you want to see something crazy, get your nose real close to the grass sometime and see everything that's running around down there. And he's like, and he's big into meditation. And he goes, I felt something there that I've never felt during my sessions, all my meditation sessions. So yeah, it's a different environment, and you know, perspective of who you are becomes very, very obvious when you're not top of the food chain and you're looking around going, yeah, I'm not very big here. So, but
Mm.
yeah, he came back. He's like, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. And then of course he's out 2 days later mountain biking, but he stopped in the middle of the mountain biking and said, okay, I'm going to stop. And he did.
That's neat.
Now it's part of
Yeah.
his routine. He loves it.
That's great. What would you recommend for our listeners if they feel disconnected from nature? Like how should they start?
Um, Start small, find something that is easy for you to do, be deliberate about it. Like if you're near a park, leave your phone at home, disconnect, walk to the park, sit, and just look. And I encourage you to look up because it's a crazy world up there. It's just so much going on in the canopies. And you get the sunlight coming through. It's just a different experience. If you can't do something like that, get a plant. Bring a plant into the house. If you want to bring forest in the house, you want to do the terpenes, you can Google and you can find different scented oils that actually give you the same sort of terpene and respiratory pieces that you would get from the forest. Is it faking it? Yeah, sort of, but so what, right? Whatever it takes. Um, get a cup of coffee and sit on your back porch. Put a lawn chair out. Have your coffee in the morning outside, weather permitting, of course. Um, Stuff like that. Make it simple. And then if you stop and listen and look and feel and hear and smell, Mother Nature will find you. You don't have to look far.
What would you say about winter time? So for those of us in the Midwest here who have a pretty long winter, I
7 foot
I
snowdrifts.
yeah, I mean, I go hiking in the winter too. We go year round with all the gear because we love to be outside, but we're
Mhm.
wearing all the gear, right? There's no chance of grounding out there, and that I'm not putting my feet in the bare snow. So what can we do?
Well, as far as the grounding piece goes, I don't know that that is going to be foremost of what you're doing when you're out there, anyways. But if you stop and use the same sort of forest bathing concepts in the middle of the winter, you have a whole different forest, right? You have a whole
Mm.
different ecosystem that's talking to you. You can see the berries have changed, the leaves are gone. You have different tree configurations. You have the conifers doing their thing. I mean, conifers are going to be pumping out terpenes year round. So you're still getting some of the benefits. And just being out there in the cold exposure, giddy up. Add that to your program. And you know, but if you do it fast, you're gonna miss, right?
Mm.
Unless you're just cold as all Hades and you got to get back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
just get
Stacey's
outside.
really good about getting outside in the winter with her heated stuff. She's
I have
got
a
like,
heated vest and I put the
yeah,
foot warmers in and the hand warmers and I'm ridiculous looking, but like I'll
yeah,
do it because I love to be outside, but I
yeah.
hate
It's
to be
great.
cold. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
well, that's fine. You can still be insulated and still enjoy it and get
Yeah,
all the
that's
benefits from
determination.
it.
You're still getting the crisp air in your lungs,
Yeah,
right?
Yes. Yeah.
fresh air,
There.
sunshine. You're getting the circadian rhythms realigned with Mother Nature. You're getting the sounds, unless you got you're like this and can't hear anything. I don't know. Maybe you can push back the earmuffs for a little bit
For
and
just a
listen
Yeah.
some.
minute.
There's not much to hear out there in the real
No,
winter.
but
Uh,
sometimes that quiet is, right? I like the
Silence
quiet.
can be deafening. It
Yeah.
is amazing how loud a snow-covered forest is if you stop and listen to it.
Oh, I like that.
Mm.
All
That's a
right.
quote right there. I like that one. That's
I do
wonderful.
too.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So, Clay, we like to ask our guests two questions. The first one is, if you could give our listeners an assignment or a takeaway from today's conversation, what would it be?
Stick your phone in a drawer and go outside for 10 minutes. That simple. Just do it.
I like
Don't
that.
take your phone, don't take your watch if it's in your backyard. If you pull up to a park in your car, stick the phone in the car and go into the park, Um, that is the first step, is just reconnecting for at least 10 minutes and begin to understand what it can do for
It's hard to disconnect from those phones.
you. It is.
It is.
It's
But 10
horrible.
minutes, I feel like you could do 10 minutes. Anyone could do
I
10
know, man, it could
minutes.
be an eternity, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Okay. Here at the Digestible Podcast, we like to say, don't panic, just pivot. And I know
hmm
in the last several years you've done several of those, but
hmm
can you share with us a change that you have made in your life that has made a big difference?
Well, we briefly discussed it when I put Western medicine aside and decided to, go that path. And the outcome for me was just crazy. I lost 15 pounds I didn't know I had to lose. I was off all medication within 6 months, and I mean all medication, nothing, right? Um, I got energy back, but more importantly, I got hope back, right? I didn't face three more surgeries. I wasn't taking opioids for pain and blah, 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 blah. So for me, that is the pivot point. The awareness and the time in a person's life where you have to change. That was for me. And it's worked.
How
So
did you know what to do?
I didn't. I made it up. I figured it out the hard way. The first 3 months trying to get the gut biome right was just agonizing. I mean, they had me on a PPI for 10 years. You're supposed to be on that for
Wow.
10 days, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So just weaning the body off, very difficult. Stay with it though. It's worth it. Chugging aloe vera oil at 9 o'clock at night. It's not the funnest thing in the world, but you get to the other side, you're happy you're there. So, yeah.
Did you use functional doctors to help you walk through that?
No, there's a kinesiologist that I worked with who is big into holistic, and we were able to discover things, but we didn't have a functional medicine doctor this way. At the time we had MDs that didn't even believe in any, a lot of what we believe in now.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of research, I had a lot of time, and had a lot of motivation. So trial and error, figure it out, go from there.
I mean, I think you're so inspiring. Your story is so inspiring. And I think you make forest bathing and grounding super cool.
Just remember, tough guys hug trees.
Great. That's good advice. Thank you. Thanks, Clay. Thank you for listening to the Digestible Podcast with our special guest, retired U.S. Navy commander, health coach, and certified forest bathing guide, Clay Hartman. If you like today's episode, please share us with others. It's the best compliment you can give us. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at info@digestiblestrategies.com. We would love to hear from you. And remember, don't panic, just pivot. The content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are not medical professionals, and the views expressed here are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any health conditions. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making any health-related decisions.